Hi, welcome to Mercurius Being. I'm Amy Jensen here with your action-packed astro update. So we have the full moon, Gemini full moon, which is exact tomorrow, Saturday, the 18th here in the Central Time Zone. Then we have the solstice on the 21st. We have the changing signs of the nodes on the 22nd. And then we have Saturn square Uranus on December 23rd. So that's the third of three aspects that they've made this year, exact aspects that they've made this year. So we've got a lot to cover. So for the Gemini full moon, again, this pattern of 27 degrees or 12 degrees for the lunation continues. So the moon's at 27 degrees Gemini, 28 minutes. The sun is at 27 degrees Sag, 28 minutes. And it's going to keep going back between 27 and 12. Again, I talked about that in another video. And I looked up, and that's the way it's going at least until the March 3rd lunation. So I didn't look anything up because I did talk about that before. So we've got 27 and 12. Numerologically, you could look up those individual numbers, but you could also look up 12 comes down to 1 plus 2, which is 3, and 2 plus 7 is 9 for the 27 degrees. So if you're interested in looking up the numerology of those, you can. So for this lunation, I wrote, the wheels are set in motion. All right, let's start with the Sabian symbol. So the wheels are set in motion, not only for this new moon, but this new moon kind of starts the wheels in motion for all these other aspects that are going to happen within the next week, which is kind of a jam-packed way to end the year, but a lot of year ends are like that, aren't they? We're trying to fit things in and wrap things up, and this has that energy. So there's some old energies that we're wrapping up and some new energies that we're welcoming in. Okay, so let's start with the Sabian symbol for the moon, which is 28 degrees Gemini. This is from Lynda Hill's book, and I will have that in the box below. So the saying for this is, society granting bankruptcy to him, a man leaves the court with mixed feelings. So this symbol rarely describes bankruptcy in the literal sense. There may be feelings of failure along with the need to have the slate wiped clean, to start over again, to be able to leave the court and have a chance to start over again. When you actually reach rock bottom, there are not many choices as to the way out. There's a need to grab hold of hope and let go of fear. The group or society can sometimes accept the responsibilities for problems that people create and give the individual a second chance. This symbol can also show that those feel abandoned because someone has not lived up to their responsibility. Alternatively, one must be prepared to give up everything and move on to a new and better life. The most important thing about bankruptcy is that it should be undertaken without leaving feelings of guilt and loss. Forgiving and forgetting are both necessary. New truths will be learnt and life will turn around with a feeling of release from the regrets of the past as life becomes lighter and better. Things will surely pick up again on many levels. One has to let go of things and be prepared to move into a new attitude or way of life. The mistakes of the past become the lessons that make for a better future. All right, so that's the moon, and that is what will be illuminated. And then the sun at 28 degrees Sag will be the illuminator. And the Sabian symbol for that is a splendidly built bridge. A heritage of unknown ages still spans the beautiful and wildly primitive stream. You may need to find a bridge between your fresh, energetic aspirations, thoughts, and emotions, and constructive thought and activity. Traditional ways of approaching things may lead to the best solution now. It may be that the bridge was developed by the experiences of many generations. It could also reflect inherent qualities carried through from history, perhaps past lives. Whatever you are able to span different levels of awareness with a splendidly built bridge. If you feel disconnected, know that you can be confident, resting in the reassurance that the bridge is still there. The bridge is an ever-present capacity that is a gift to you from the universe. However, there may be a toll to be paid for going across the bridge. If so, is this journey, this event, conversation, or habit an outworn one? Is there a continual reversing of direction or position? Or is there movement and links being forged in one sure direction? If you don't know how to raise your level of awareness or intuition into the conscious realm, be confident that you really do know intuitively. Thoughts or emotions can act as a link or a barrier between our soul-centered inspiration and the source of higher awareness. The wildly primitive stream is a symbol of those emotions, but no matter how far back or deeply active our emotional landscape is, the bridge can take us safely across. All right. So those are the sun and moon degrees. Okay. At this time, the sun and moon also have, so the moon has a half square to Uranus, and the sun has a square and a half to Uranus, and then just flip-flop that for their relationship to Saturn. So they're both getting a sesquiquadrate and a sesquare in astrological terms. So a little, not super strong conflict, but like a little jab of conflict from Saturn, both Saturn and Uranus, and their Saturn and Uranus are closing in on their square. So to me, I just thought, okay, so this illumination's happening. It's got this aspect to the sun, or Uranus and Saturn, of course. It's in the consciousness. And just David Bowie's song kept going through my head, turn and face the changes. So just, and I looked up the date of that release was 1971, and that was 5 to 7 years after the Uranus-Pluto conjunction that was from 1964 to 1966, and the Pluto-Uranus square that just occurred, it was 2012 to 2015, so we're kind of in that, we've been in that 5 to 7 year range after math. So I guess what I'm saying is it's time to really integrate those changes, and I guess that's what this lunation is kind of moving us towards, letting go of the past, moving into the future, but having that bridge, and then the part about the bankruptcy, letting go, forgiving and forgetting, just starting back at square one, renewal. So there's that. Okay. Looking it up in the Vedic chart, the moon is at the degree with the power to give fulfillment and joy. And the sun is at the degree within the Nakshatra, the 3 degrees, 20 minutes segment of the heavens that these luminaries are in. For the sun in Mula, and the moon is in Mrigashira. So the sun is in power to destroy, the root to create. Harness time to your advantage. So the symbol for the sun is tied roots. So there's something about untying and releasing from those roots, and then the ability to create something new. And I know I talked about this in the last video where we've been at evolutionary wise, and I'll get into that in the nodes. We've been in a Sagittarius South Node, Gemini North Node pattern for 1.5 years. And so this is kind of the final hurrah, this lunation. So if there are any things you want to build a bridge with, or people you want to build a bridge with, just imagining that, working towards that, communicating with, connecting to, that energy is out there. And then the energy of forgiving and forgetting, allowing differences to exist, to not be stuck within our own belief system, just to see something from somebody else's side. Okay, so this is kind of the last blast, because over the last 1.5 years we've had the eclipses. We just started, we had one eclipse activating Taurus and Scorpio in November, but we're moving into the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse pattern. So this is the last just lunation after having all the eclipse patterns. So in the mutable signs, so maybe everyone who has a lot of mutable placements in their chart are going to get a little breather as they move into the fixed signs, and all the fixed signs people are hopefully not trepidatious about what's coming up. Anyway, always a chance to evolve. So that's the takeaway. So all right, at this time, let me see if there are any other aspects I was going to talk about. Jupiter has a nice trine to the sun, or trine to the moon, excuse me, and a sextile to the sun. So I just thought that gives it a little optimism. You know, Jupiter adds that little burst of optimism. And in Aquarius still, it's moving into Pisces rather soon. I think it's the 29th. Anyway, end of the month. So in Aquarius, so innovation. I just wrote, don't give up hope. Change is possible. And, you know, if you look out in the world and you're like, change is not possible. Well, you know, collectively, it might be a little more difficult, but individually, it is not. And so individually, if it's not impossible to change, any change we make does reflect on the collective. So don't give up hope, okay? Even if things are not looking that great all the time, or if all you see is discord, all you have to do is let go of your end of the rope, you know, the end of the discord, and let it untie itself, right? You don't have to be involved. And it is as easy as that. All right, so that's enough speechifying on that lunation. So after we have this lunation, Saturday, right? A few days later, December 21st, Tuesday, here in the Central Time Zone, it's 9:59 seconds a.m. We have the winter solstice. So the winter solstice for the Northern Hemisphere is like the new moon of the whole year. So it's the darkest point of the year. It's like the sun is being reborn. So it's the least amount of sunlight, the most amount of darkness. So the sun is being reborn at this time. And then it moves 90 degrees to the spring equinox. And then it moves another 90 degrees to the summer solstice. Excuse me. Let's take a drink here. So at the summer solstice, it's like a full moon for the year. Sun is at the highest point here in the Northern Hemisphere, and then we get into Libra season, the fall equinox, and then we're closing out. It's like at the waning moon, and then back to 0 degrees Capricorn, new moon of the year. So it is, like I said, it's the darkest time of the year, but it's where we all greatly anticipate the return of the light, and all of, you know, many traditions and religions reflect that emphasis on returning to the light. So really, this takes a leap of faith. At this time of year, when it's dark, planting seeds of intention and seeds for the upcoming year. But you know, I'm looking out my window and it's white and it's cold, and you know, with it can seem a little daunting, okay? So what I am asking of this time for myself, and I would suggest for this new solstice, new moon of the year, is to emphasize clear vision for yourself and clarity. And then what do you want to ditch of the old? And what new do you want to embrace? And really that's also emphasized, so we're entering Capricorn. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, the Saturn and Uranus square. So we're really talking about foundational things. So what are we willing to change or hoping to change? And because this is an intentional time, and you don't have to know how it's going to happen, but you can have the intention and the vision, and allow the thoughts to accumulate energy, and thoughts turn to things, and things turn to action. At this solstice, the moon, and I just pulled a chart for where I'm at, so this isn't, you know, house-wise, isn't going to orient the same for everyone. But basically, you can see the moon over here is like a bucket handle. If you flip it this way, you can see like the handle of the bucket. And I don't, I don't usually, pull charts. I wrote that for the nodes here too. I don't always do a solstice chart. But the moon really stuck out at me. And again, interestingly, the moon is at 27 degrees Cancer. I looked ahead to the Cancer full moon in January on the 17th, and it is again at 27 degrees Cancer. So yeah, I guess I wish I had looked those numbers up. So look up 27 and 9. That's your homework, okay? And it forms an inconjunct or a stress aspect with the sun on the solstice, at the moment of the solstice. So the handle of the bucket, there's a lot of emphasis on the moon. So as we're making these intentions and wanting to make these changes, the moon in Cancer, which it rules, it's really strong there. But Cancer and Capricorn are opposite. They're polarity. They're two ends of the same stick. So if Capricorn is all about foundations and structures and discipline and achievement and getting to that mountaintop, Cancer's all about like the mother principle or the interlinked parent principle. The Capricorn would be more the paternal energy, or the parent who would be more outer linked. So the Cancer element's more just maternal energy, just more nourishing, more tribal. So it also deals with, the moon can deal with cycles and habits. So I wrote, I guess, don't let emotional fallbacks or old habits stop you from setting your new intentions, or kind of plugging in new coordinates of where you'd like to go. So kind of fear, I would say, of leaving the known. So the moon, Cancer, it's really like the known and familiar, like they're your people, your habits, your cycles, your warm, fuzzy, taken care of emotionally feeling. But a way to work with that energy is honoring how you feel and what feelings are arising and what is alive in you. So as you're making these new intentions, or you're thinking about the changes you'd like to make, when you come upon some feelings that, like, I'm a little fearful, I want to step back from that, what will happen, how can I do that, I'm going to have to, put myself in a different place. Just kind of holding both the new intention and its yearning for that, but also the discomfort and fear of change, and then allowing your body time to adjust, like somatically, like just feel the fear, feel the discomfort, and notice where it is in your body. Allow yourself to kind of work with that energy. And then when we have the full moon in full moon in Cancer in January, mimicking this placement, and then the sun will be at 27 degrees Capricorn, opposite the moon at 27 degrees Cancer. And then that full moon should inform you that you may have the feelings. So it's either going to add to the feelings you had around the solstice, inform you about them, give you more information, maybe highlight the disparity between the two. But it could also be kind of a go-ahead. Like if you've spent the time now from your intention time at the solstice to the full moon in January of 2022 on the 17th, you really will be able to have the past catch up to the present, and the body integrating the change and intention that you want to implement. All right. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about solstice. Check. All right, so moving into the nodes. The nodes, as I said, have been in Sagittarius and Gemini, and on December 22nd, they will be moving into the North Node. Our evolutionary path forward is moving into Taurus, and the South Node is moving into Scorpio. So the nodes went into Sagittarius, Gemini back in May 2020. So this can be a little time to reflect all that's happened since then, and any, where you were then, where you are now, What changes have you made? What expansion and of your consciousness has occurred? What differences have you allowed to hold space both at the same time? The duality, balancing the duality within the unity. All right. Okay, so we're moving into Scorpio Taurus. And I already touched on this in the last video. Just wanted to mention this time. And I have the time 9:15 p.m. Central on the 22nd as the time, or even just that whole day. Practice a little meditation or do a little practice setting an energetic intention for the next year and a half. Because as I said, what this means is the full moons and or the eclipses will be occurring in Scorpio Taurus. So if you know, that'll affect all of us in our houses, chart houses, but if you have fixed sign planets, they'll possibly be getting hit. So you might be feeling some of those eclipses more intensely. So working with the energies before they hit can be a great practice. And then you can just see what comes up in you and what gets stirred up in your consciousness. So doing some work with Shadow Scorpio would be great. Shadow Scorpio can involve scapegoating, projecting. It can involve shame, manipulation, possessiveness, obsessiveness, controlling, suspicious, sadistic, selfish. So those are all super shadow aspects of Scorpio. High Scorpio is plugged into what is truly alive and transformative within us. It's creative power, and there's a lot of power involved with Scorpio because it's all under the surface, okay? It's transformative and transmutative power. Deeply evolutionary, very raw and honest. Life and death and sex and money matters handled unflinchingly with no judgment would be all high Scorpio energy. High Scorpio would be the one. You would be the one who sees in the dark. You'd be the one who can go there. Example, like you're sitting with, example, you're dying and someone is sitting beside you. Do you want them just to be talking about the weather? Well, maybe you do, but also you might want somebody there who can just hold your hand and sit with you in that present moment of acceptance of the reality of where you're at and not bullshitting you, okay? It's just that holding that space. So having that ability to have a pretty big bandwidth of an ability to not just kind of flake or avoid. Okay, so again, that's a high Scorpio we're working with. However, because it's the South Node, the tendency for the next year and a half is going to be for the Shadow Scorpio to come up and for us either to see these things within ourselves or most likely what's going to happen is everybody's going to be projecting it on everyone else or, scapegoating. That sounds terrible. Most likely, no. I'm not hopeless for people. I'm just, perhaps initially there could be some of that. As we work with the energy, we'll be moving into the higher Scorpio. How about that? So Taurus is the North Node. It's the evolutionary path. Okay, so again, the South Node, just to go back, is our fallback mode. So again, if we have some scorpionic responses as a fallback, they'll be heightened. How about that? Okay, so North Node, Taurus. So Taurus is kind of this innate goodness, is what I always like to say about it. It's nature, it's beauty, it's having your feet on the ground, it's being in your physical body, it's having your physical needs taken care of. If Cancer is emotional needs and feeling emotionally safe, Taurus is physically safe. So you have what you need. It's about your values and your self-worth. It's about beauty. It's a lot about the voice and song. So your individual song as well. It's a lot about instincts and being safe and grounded and secure physically, embodying and enjoying life. And life flowing through one's physicality and physicality and physical experience of being grounded. And just seeing yourself as part of life and kind of seeing life in all, and and everything being interrelated. So just that's where I go back to that innate goodness, kind of, there can be a naivete in Taurus, and then in Scorpio is kind of the city slicker who, comes to the small town and kind of, pulls one over on the innocent, naive people. That's would be a little scenario. So shadow Taurus is stubborn or lethargic or passive or too stuck in materiality, or looking outside of oneself for things or material things to fulfill one's needs, instead of realizing, again, it's within our own bodies. So again, and this is the chart. I haven't really, like a node, changing in the node chart. This is one I haven't exactly done a reading before. So I just looked at the aspects and just kind of flipped through them. So the node changing has an inconjunct to the sun in Capricorn and a square and a half or a sesquiquadrate to Mercury, both in Capricorn. And I just wrote having to change your mind or to switch minds, okay, over the next year and a half. It has a nice trine to Venus, which rules Taurus. So I took that as a positive possibility, and just seek into your own body and your own needs and your own values. And it's probably going to come around to a lot of work with self-worth, if this kind of tings with you. So anything you can do to really promote your self-worth, whatever lack you feel, go towards fulfilling that. And Jupiter has a square to this nodal change. And so that's kind of, for me, kind of like always a little longing for status or looking at someone else's achievements, and kind of feeling not as good as or not as worthy. So that points to the self-worth again. So to me, that points to kind of another tally mark to go out and achieve what you feel you're lacking or that you're envying in someone else, and just kind of a vote to yourself that you can do it. Like if that's what's coming alive for you, that's a need that needs to be addressed. The node change has a nice trine to Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio. So like I said, we've got the ruler of Taurus and the ruler of Scorpio both supporting this moment of change into the nodes. I just wrote transform with an exclamation point. Like, shed the skin you need to shed. Like, why not? That's okay. We are here at this time to do this. So we are able to do this, okay? And then it just has a septile to Chiron, which is kind of just a little minor aspect, just kind of a serendipitous aspect for healing. So out of the blue, you have what it takes to heal. You have what it takes to do this, okay? All right, so the last event is the last Saturn square Uranus. And it is at 11 degrees, 5 minutes, Aquarius and Taurus. So we round that up to 12 and use the Sabian symbol for that. So for the symbol for Uranus and 12 degrees Taurus, a young couple walk down Main Street window shopping. Things are probably out of reach for you at the moment, including the stability of your domestic or emotional needs, but that shouldn't stop you looking or planning for the future. However, care may need to be taken, as jealousy and greed can rise up easily when there seems to be so much, so close, and yet so far away. Enjoy the display and the quiet moments of togetherness without rush, and then get back to your real life. Realize that even though things feel far off in some ways, things of inner worth are available to you right now. Is there an issue concerning commitment to relationship, or is this a situation of just having to look to see what might be possible for the future? Now is possibly not the right time to make any firm decisions, but rather to look at all your possibilities and options. Window shop a little and share your dreams. See how they can turn into reality. So now you can see how that's kind of tied into this solstice intention time. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting, that degree. I also wanted to mention, before I flip over to the Saturn, I was just going to mention Venus and Pluto. They conjuncted each other on December 11th. They'll do it again December 25th, and then one in March of 2022. So in Capricorn. So Pluto is transformation. Venus, so Pluto's ruler Scorpio, Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra. Venus rules relationships and what we value and money and self-worth. And those two have already conjuncted. They're conjuncting again after this, and then again in March. So I'm just saying there's just a lot of energy in those signs right now. So whatever is arising for you to transform relationships with your own self-worth, with your relationships with others, with what we value, like the universe is just like, oh, here's another symbol in that direction. Okay, let's go on. Aquarius 12 is where Saturn is. And for this, people on a vast staircase graduated upwards. You may be seeking to find your place in the scheme of things. Striving for the top is wonderful, and achieving your own successes is admirable, and the climb up will probably bring the rewards you need. Be careful not to concern yourself with thoughts of who's in front or who's behind. It's probably of no real consequence. Concentrating on your own position and where you want to go will bring happiness and success. No matter what your status and regardless of what others are doing, be patient and trust that you and yours are heading in the right direction. This symbol doesn't always involve outright competition, although it can. It can show the consequences of the layers of the class system, which can be rewarding to some, but alienating to others. Be careful of the rungs you are climbing. One that isn't secure can have you in a risky or compromising situation. Being at the bottom, or even at the top, can lead to problems. It's not useful to consider your present position unimportant. Being expendable is not a good thing. Accept your position as it is now and work towards and look forward to a promotion to both your place and the wisdom that is yet to come. All right, so that was Saturn at 12 degrees Aquarius. So again, this is the third one of the year. The first one hit in February, and I was just thinking about this. So that's when the ice storms were in Texas and all over, all the power was out, and that was weird. In June, I really couldn't come up with anything that popped into my head. When they squared again, I looked up some things, and there were, so Israel elected a new prime minister. Iran, well, it was an uncompetitive election, but they elected a new president around that time. And then in December, so that Israel, that at least was something new, I guess, some new change. And then December, the tornadoes that we've just had in Arkansas and Kentucky. And then we've had tornadoes and thunderstorms this weekend in Minnesota, which is just odd. So kind of shaking things up, I guess, was my point. Uranus, the god of shaking things up and earthquakes and thunderbolts, in Taurus, the very earthy sign of Taurus. Uranus being revolutionary, just change, innovation, new things. Squaring Saturn in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. Saturn is restructuring in Aquarius, like the energetic flow. So I feel as if I just was going to say, I feel as if, you know, I don't really know how much change has been made over this last year, but whether it's being expressed externally currently, or if it's being kind of under wraps, and it's just, we're feeling it more individually, and then it will kind of show more externally collectively. Although as I say that, I think there have been a lot of changes in other ways that we may not understand or know about quite yet, the consequences of the change and foundations that have been being made. So that's okay. Does that make sense? So on one hand, like, oh, everything's the same, but at the same time, oh, no, actually everything is different. Lots of things are getting changed. And anyway, I think we almost have to wait until, you know, all the cards fall to see exactly what we've ended up with. But that still goes back to individually, what changes are you making, what old you're getting rid of, what new you're bringing in, all of the things we've talked about. So looking at it in the Vedic chart, Saturn placement in Shravana is the power to connect diverse elements through listening, understanding, and aspiration. It's the star of learning. So the degree for Uranus in Bharani is the power to clear impurities and move on, carry things away. And I just thought that was a kind of a great, those two great statements. This is from Julene Lewis's work, and I'll have that in the comments below, or the box below too. Especially the listening part and the clearing impurities. So a lot of talking has happened over the last year and a half with the Gemini, Sagittarius nodes. But listening is probably more important than speaking even. And the value of listening and silence in music, timing. The silence allows integration. The silence allows the nervous system to quiet down and to calm down and to digest information. So connecting diverse elements through listening, understanding, and then aspiration. So having hopes and intentions and things you're working towards, things that you aspire to. And then Uranus, the power to clear impurities and move on, carry things away. So again, the removing impurities, that's a lot to do with the Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, which is also communication. So just kind of feeling that energy of possibility, okay? It's easy to get beat down when there's a lot going on in the world. But again, we've come here at this time. We're equipped to handle what's going on. And there really is always possibility. There's always possibility for change. There's always hope and possibility. And so just opening up to the energy of that with this last Saturn square Uranus, exact on December 23rd. And yeah, December 23rd. I've got 11:43 p.m. I was playing around with the time a little bit because I've seen it different. Earlier is what I had written earlier. Anyway, so let's just say between 11 p.m. and midnight on December 23rd, Central Time, is your last exact Saturn square Uranus. So again, for the year, just getting rid of what's old. That's a great time. New Year's coming up. But it's almost like we get a little, like I said, the wheels are set in motion. The changes are upon us. So this is a great time to just jumpstart all of that. And then really, you know, the calendar start of the new year isn't really as energetically symbolic as the solstice start of the new year. So really giving the energy and space and silence that the solstice kind of needs to lay the ground, to prepare the soul and the soil, prepare the soil for the new year. So I think I will just leave you with that thought, and you have a wonderful end of December, however you may celebrate it, and I will see you back again soon. Hi again. I was going to pull a card and I forgot, and so when I was uploading the video, I just shuffled a deck, and this one just popped out at me, and I thought I had to add this because it was like so perfect. So it's Earth Magic, and it's from the Oracle of the Seven Energies deck by Colette, Baron-Reid, one of my favorites. So let's put that card up again. Earth Magic speaks to the intrinsic relationship that you and all living things have with the consciousness of the Earth, also known as Gaia. Imagine the oak tree that begins its journey as an acorn, gathering the life force energy it needs from the earth so it can sprout up from the ground. Because you are part of nature, you follow the same cycle of manifestation. Everything you are, your evolution, and the successful manifestation of your dreams begin below the surface of consciousness until an idea comes, conviction takes hold, and something meaningful can be planted. Be still for a moment. Quiet your thoughts and imagine anchoring your energy to the sacred quality of being part of this living earth. Do this mindfully to connect to this divine intelligence with the power to create the perfect form from the essence of a tiny spark of life. Indeed, this is miraculous. The message now is to trust that the seeds you've planted in your field of dreams are in good hands. The earth is a conscious, divine source of love that is doing its part on your behalf. Slow down, take in the beauty of your life now, and trust that what you are intending is being nourished and is growing. There will be plenty of time later to tend to your garden, to water it and weed it. Great magic is germinating underground, working its way to the surface to deliver more blessings than you could imagine. Let it. So, all right, that is it. Bye.